New Hampshire has this reputation of being tax-friendly, but it's not quite as simple as people think. You'll hear things like no state income tax, no sales tax, and that's mostly true, but there's a small catch that a lot of founders miss, especially when it comes to interest and dividend income. So if you're considering forming an LLC in New Hampshire, you want the full picture, not just the headline. In this video, I'll walk you through how to start an LLC in New Hampshire in 2026, what it costs, how the taxes actually work, and whether this state makes sense for your situation. Hey, I'm Bobby Casey, founder of Business Anywhere. I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs, from US-based founders to digital nomads and non-US residents, form LLCs remotely without getting stuck in state-level confusion. And New Hampshire is one of those states where the details matter more than the marketing. All right, before we get into the state specifics, let's zoom out for a second. An LLC, limited liability company, is all about separation. It separates you from your business. If your company runs into legal trouble or debt, your personal assets are generally protected. That's the foundation. And from a tax standpoint, LLCs are flexible. A single-member LLC is taxed like a sole proprietorship by default. A multi-member LLC is taxed like a partnership. And if it makes sense later, you can elect S-Corp taxation. So you get protection without corporate complexity. Now let's talk about New Hampshire, Mike. The filing fee to form an LLC in New Hampshire is $100. That's paid to the New Hampshire Secretary of State when you file your certificate of formation. So up front, it's fairly reasonable. Now here's where things get interesting. New Hampshire does not tax earned income, so wages and salary are not subject to state income tax. There's also no general statewide sales tax. But, and this is the nuance, New Hampshire does tax interest and dividend income. So if your income includes investments, distributions, or certain passive income streams, that can still be taxed at the state level. This is why it's important to look beyond the headline and understand how your specific income is treated. All right, let's move into the formation process. It starts with your business name. Your LLC name must be distinguishable from other registered businesses in New Hampshire, and it must include Limited Liability Company, LLC, at the end. So it can't just be Granite Ventures, it needs to be Granite Ventures, LLC. Before you settle on a name, search the New Hampshire Business Database to confirm availability. If you're not ready to file yet, you can reserve the name for a period of time for a small fee. Once your name is set, let's talk about your registered agent. Every New Hampshire LLC must have a registered agent with a physical street address in the state, no P.O. boxes. This person or company receives legal documents and official notices on behalf of your business. If you live in New Hampshire, you can act as your own registered agent, but your address becomes public record, and you need to be available during business hours. That's why many founders choose a professional registered agent service. It keeps your information private and ensures nothing gets missed. Now, moving forward to the official filing, you'll submit your certificate of formation to the New Hampshire Secretary of State. The filing fee is $100. In that filing, you'll include your LLC name, registered agent information, principal office address, and management structure, whether your LLC is member managed or manager managed. Once approved, your LLC is officially active. Now, even though New Hampshire doesn't require you to file it with the state, you should absolutely create an operating agreement. This document outlines ownership, decision-making, profit distribution, and what happens if a member exits. Even for a single-member LLC, it strengthens your liability protection and makes your business look more legitimate to banks and partners. Next up, your EIN. Your employer identification number comes from the IRS, and it's completely free. You'll need it to open a U.S. business bank account, hire employees, and file federal taxes. If you're a U.S. resident with an SSN, you can apply online and get it quickly. If you're outside the U.S., the process takes a bit longer but is still manageable. Now let's talk about compliance. New Hampshire requires LLCs to file an annual report. There is a filing fee associated with that report, and it must be submitted each year to keep your business in good standing. Missing your annual report deadline can result in penalties or administrative dissolution. So even though the state has some tax advantages, you still need to stay on top of your filings. Depending on your business activity, you may also need to register for state taxes or obtain licenses. While there's no general sales tax, certain industries and activities may still require registration or compliance with state rules. Finally, once your LLC is approved and you've received your EIN, open a dedicated business bank account. Do not mix personal and business funds. That's one of the fastest ways to weaken your liability protection. Banks will typically ask for your certificate of formation, EIN confirmation letter, operating agreement, and valid identification. If you're operating remotely, you'll also need a legitimate U.S. business address. So let's recap. To start an LLC in New Hampshire, choose a unique name and confirm availability. Appoint a registered agent with a New Hampshire street address. File your certificate of formation and pay the $100 state fee. Create an operating agreement. Obtain your EIN. Register for any required taxes or licenses. And file your annual report each year. New Hampshire is tax-friendly in some ways. No tax on wages, no general sales tax. But it's not completely tax-free. So it really comes down to how your income is structured. You can absolutely handle this yourself. But if you'd rather skip the paperwork and compliance tracking, we can help. At Business Anywhere, we'll form your New Hampshire LLC for free. You just pay the $100 state fee, and we include your first year of registered agent service at no extra cost. We'll also help with your EIN and send annual report reminders so nothing slips through the cracks. So I'm curious, are you considering New Hampshire for the tax benefits or because you live there? Drop a comment and tell me what you're building, and I'll see you in the next one.